he's setting up. This is Ethan Halfeye. He received his BS in kinesiology with concentration in exercise science from Longwood. He has been nationally certified as both an exercise physiologist and an exercise and medicine health professional from the American College of Sports Medicine. He is also a personal trainer with Brian Cole Associates, which is how I got him. And he is also the head trainer at panaceafit.com. This is Ethan.
Hey guys, how are you? Testing, I don't want to be too loud. Yeah, I'm Ethan Halfeye, as Ann said. Ann's been a client for, I want to say, 2 years now. Yeah. And I remember she first came to me when I think your baby was 9 months old, right? So about 12 pounds total. And we were talking about basically getting your mom body back. And so far, we have done that. But the main focus I want to talk about is that moms are the most underestimated athletes in the world, right? You guys, you have a baby on one hand, you have a baby on the other, a handbag, and then you have like groceries, and you're always moving around. Like unconventional movements, and you're always on the go, and self-awareness as well. You also, you have to keep a family safe as well. So that's, when you guys are doing on-the-go exercises like that, it's easy to not consider that activity, right? It's like, oh, it's just, we just have to get a soccer practice. We just have to go to like music practice and whatnot. With those small movements, especially if they're unconventional, like, you're bending over to the side, you're bending the spine all sorts of ways. I may not need this mic, I don't know, but you can really cause like lasting problems. Like small movements over a period of time can really cause like small adjustments that deviate from normality, right? You have to be careful with that. This slide is basically that right there, forward flexion technology and everything. I know I have like an iPad, a laptop, everything. Like I'm always in front of some kind of like electronic device, right? And it's very easy when we get into things to kind of hunch forward like this. We don't realize it, but like 30 minutes into whatever we're doing, especially if we're reading books. I'm a big reader. Do you guys read? Yes. I saw a ton of books there. I was like, yes, my people, there we go. So basically, when we start to get into things, especially if, say you're laying on the couch or you're sitting on the couch and you're hunched over with a really good book and you start to go forward and forward, it may, when you stand up, you're like, whoa, I'm really stiff. But since you're like so caught up in what you're reading, you don't really realize that, you're slowly hunching forward towards it as the plot thickens, right? So plot twist, that causes a lot of issues. Did you like that? I just thought of that. Plot twist. But like forward flexion causes a lot of issues in the upper back. You can see his neck starts going forward. And a lot of people start to come in, especially to personal training associates. We have somewhat of like a physical therapy focus. So they come in, they're like, I had to go to physical therapy because like my upper back was bothering me. Or like people say they store tightness up here. Do you guys think you store tightness in your upper back? I'll show you why in a second. But you can kind of see that's a very unnatural position. Like we evolved to stand nice and tall, and now we're almost like de-evolving with technology. So I started focusing on this a lot when I really started picking up reading, like I said, and I was in front of a laptop all the time. And even though on most days, like I'm active, I'm training clients, I'm standing up and I'm talking to you guys kind of like this, and I'm almost doing like physically intensive stuff, picking up weights, I realized on days where I was just sitting down like that at a laptop, I was way more tired. Like I don't know if you guys work like desk jobs, if you're in front of the computer, my mom does, and she does that for like 8 hours a day, and she's like, I'm so tired doing that. And I started to realize, like, why am I so exhausted just from sitting down when normally I'm way more active? So, you might go to the next slide. Oh, that's how it looks. Cool. So, I started doing research. I was recommended a book by Dr. Nagula called the psoas major. And that muscle right there is the psoas major. And if you go down just a little bit, you can see how, all right, so this is probably the coolest muscle you've never heard about. It's the deepest core muscle in the body. It runs from the lumbar spine down to the femur, so it's shortens up and it's contracted when you're sitting down like this, right? It's not lengthened out. So if it's tight, it causes stress to the lumbar vertebrae, and it brings that lower back kind of forward a little bit. You get pelvic tilt. Have you guys heard of pelvic tilt? Right? And that's a more unnatural position that could lead to hip conditions and hip replacements ultimately, because it's not a natural position for that hip. And one of the coolest things I learned about this is that most experts, especially Dr. Nagula, they say that this muscle is kind of the mind's gateway into like our physical health, because it kind of says like, are things okay? Are things not right? Like, here's an instance of that. So if I were to walk in here like this, hey guys, how are we doing? Like, I'm going to talk to you about how to really like, get energy, get pumped up. that probably wouldn't resonate as well, right? Like if you're like this, you're hunched over, it's almost like you're closer to fetal position, right? You're trying to protect your vital organs, and that tells the brain that something's not right. So when it comes to energy, back to like it's almost like an epiphany. Like I realized what was going on. When you're hunched over like that, that tells the brain that something's not right. If something's not right, the brain lets like a little bit of adrenaline, just a small amount of adrenaline, consistent until that problem is fixed. We have no idea what the problem is, we just need to stand more upright. So movement kind of fixes that, and that's why people will start working out after working a desk job for like 8 hours a day consistently for years. And they're like, whoa, I feel so much more energetic. They're probably just standing up like maybe an extra inch straight up for So I thought that was the coolest thing. People get more energy just by working out consistently, strengthening its muscle group, and standing more in a natural position, right? All right, so next slide, and we're at, so now we'll talk a little bit more, I want to make sure, oh, one more thing before I move on. It correlates with this as well, but okay, I don't have any kids, I've never breastfed, but when it comes to this, when you're sitting down, from what I understand, you don't want to bring yourself to the baby, right? You want to bring the baby to you. You don't want to sit kind of hunched forward and hunching forward like this. It's that same kind of forward flexion, but you might be leaning to one side. You want to put a pillow underneath of the baby, and you want to bring them to you, okay? Sit nice and upright. And now let's talk about good posture and bad posture. Go a little bit further down for me, please. There we go. So you probably can't read, the writing's kind of small, but when you're standing nice and upright, you're decompressing the spine, basically. You're lengthening yourself out, right? If I'm hunched forward like this, my abdomen has nowhere to go. All these organs kind of protrude outwards. That's not good. It's not very flattering, right? You don't want to look like that. So you want to stand nice and upright, and that assists in that motion. It gives everything like a place to flow. It lets blood flow to the midsection go the way it should be, okay? And that oxygen flow as well. We go down just a little bit. And now, this part, I try to be a little fancy. If you click on the picture to the left, it's animated, and I hope it works, because that'll be really cool. Does it move if you click on it? Does it move? Okay. Well, let's pass that over here. So, if you look at, can you go a little bit up with the mouse? Teamwork here. To the right, just a little bit. That's where I was talking about where most people feel tension, right? And if you feel tension up there, the way to kind of release that tension, you can strengthen that muscle by doing something like this. Like if I'm holding weights like this, you would want to relieve that tension by having a counterweight. 12 pounds would do the trick. Stand up nice and tall, and just let your shoulders go back to their natural position. Because what happens when we start getting stressed, we tighten up, right? We want to squeeze, just like that. And especially if we're typing or texting, shoulders slowly go up, and that's where you store that tension. There's chronic blood flow to that area, and sometimes inflammation can happen because that muscle's overactive, right? So you want to do the opposite and let it relax back to its natural position. To strengthen the muscle, you would want to shrug against resistance, just like this. So if you had some kind of counterweight, 20 pounds, if you have books at home, really heavy books, the McGraw-Hill textbooks, those usually suffice all the way up and then back down. That was perfect form, by the way. There we go. So now that you can see that muscle is huge. Like if you're going to do any kind of heavy lifting, if you're lifting your baby up off the ground, little sneak peek, that's good form. We're going to talk about that in a second. But when you're down and you're lifting your baby up like this, that's going to be the middle of the back. The muscle on the left is going to do heavy lifting. Think about that, right? Guys over here. But the muscle on the right is underneath of that. That's a muscle that most people don't even know exists. Do you know what the rhomboids are? Anyone? No? Ever heard of them? You do? Oh yeah, dietitian. There you go. So anyone ever heard of rhomboids before?
I have.
You have? Good. Awesome. So the rhomboids are a small muscle group, and you can work them out with as little as this. And when you activate them, you kind of bring that shoulder blade back to a more natural position, staying nice and upright like that. And if you wanted to, I can't talk without working out, right? So basically, if you were to do normal push-ups, that may be a little tough. Can you guys see me in the back? Right here, knees on the ground, and you would want to shrug back, like not even moving the arms whatsoever. You'd go all the way down, breathe, and then all the way up nice and slow. And it looks like a push-up, but if you're not bending your elbows, you're disengaging the chest, and you're activating that small muscle group right there, that doesn't need much resistance. You don't need to do a lot of weight training to kind of bring the shoulders back, right? And that's a small switch that you can do, even at your desk, honestly. One other good one, I kind of wanted someone to demonstrate. Does someone want to demonstrate? Anyone? Any, Mo? You want to demonstrate?
Fine.
Good job, good job. So all I want you to do, you don't have a wall anywhere close, but I want you to stand up nice and tall, all right? And I want you to bring your hands just like this, okay? Thumbs out, nice and slow, this way. And I want you to take a deep breath. If there was a wall right here, you would want to put pressure all the way back, because that's when you strengthen that upper muscle where we store our stress, right? So you want to bring this back, good, and you can see the cue is kind of, picture that you're holding a pencil in between your shoulder blades, right? You want to squeeze all the way back. And when you, oh, there we go, got it? So squeeze all the way back, and you want to breathe. Every time you take a deep breath, slowly let it out after you breathe to capacity. Slowly let it out, and you can go a little bit further each time. Do you know why? Those muscles are inserted either on or around the rib cage. So when you breathe in deeply, you expand the muscles, and when you breathe out, you give them room to move. So that's deep breathing. You know, when you meditate and everything, people are like, why do I feel more relaxed? That's one reason right there. Good job. Thank you so much. What's your name?
My name's Gina.
Gina, very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
So next slide. And this is like the premise of why I'm here. This is one of the most important things that we can talk about, because small movements, does anyone have lower back pain? Or like what is like the average kid, or average age of the kids in here? That's probably, oh really? Okay, well, basically, an illustration of this, and you guys probably know this, but basically within the first year, you can expect your child to grow to maybe like 12 pounds, right? By the first year, it's about 20 pounds, right? I don't want to say it, him or her. And then by the third year, you're looking at about 30 pounds. And you guys are probably still picking up your child a lot around the third year. But within the first year, the average that I was reading about, Ortho Arthritis Group was saying, you can expect to pick up your child within that first year about 50 times a day. 12 pounds, 50 times a day. There's a lot of people that never put in repetitions like that. That's a lot, right? So, and it's not like conventional lifting every time. Like, it's probably like, you know, maybe they're in a crib, of course. So you have to reach across. It's not like a traditional movement like that. You're reaching across, twisting, and then bringing them into your center of gravity. The main focus here, if you see on the, I wouldn't even argue, I would nitpick and I'll say on the right side, that's still a little too far from the midline of the body. But the main thing that you want to do is stoop down and bring your child as close to the midline of the body as possible without having to reach over and basically put too much emphasis on your back. So bring your child here. Love you so much, Junior. You're awesome. Bring you in.
There's a child on the floor.
Is it him or her? Boy? What's his name? William? Where's William's mom? Oh, come on over here. Come on over here.
That just left away before.
Hey, William. How you doing?
He's not ready.
So, I don't want to say like, lay your child on the ground. But, yeah, there we go. So, he doesn't want to let go.
Is that phase where you want to chop off everything?
So instead of kind of reaching forward, which if you're on the go, you have to go like wherever. Maybe you have to go to work, you have to go to daycare. Early in the morning too, you're pretty tired. You wouldn't want to just reach down like this and then pick up the child.
Okay.
That's a deadlift, and it's not bad. I mean, especially if you have proper form, that's all good. But I don't expect you when you have a million other things on your head to do that, right? The easiest way to do this would be to kneel. Do you want me to try real quick? So what you would want to do is kneel down like this, coming close. Hey, William, how are you? Close. And then up. Yes. So your turn now. William, going back down. I'm sorry, buddy. There we go. Go. Bring him in close and then stand up. Perfect. Good job. Well done, William. All right, guys. So I think we have one more slide, but that is all I had for today. Yep, that's me. And if you want to follow me on Facebook, you can just type in Ethan Halfwide, but that's a Facebook page. And my YouTube is just my name as well. Yep. Thank you so much, guys.
Was everyone sitting up straighter for the whole?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.